Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Carrot Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2018 fantasy adventure movie titled Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Now, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald runs for 2 hours and 14 minutes long. It is directed by David Yates. It is produced by David Heyman, J.K. Rowling, the famous author from the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts franchises, Steve Kloves, and Lionel Wigram. The script was written by the legendary J.K. Rowling. The score was done by James Newton Howard, the cinematography by Philippe Roussela, and it was edited by Mark Day. And the stars of the movie are Eddie Redmayne, Katherine Waterston, Dan Fogler, Alison Sodel, Ezra Miller, Zoe Kravitz, Callum Turner, Claudia Kim, William Nadylom, Kevin Guthrie, Jude Law, Johnny Depp, and Carmen Ejogo. So the first Fantastic Beasts film can easily stand alone as an engaging new series for the viewers who are still hungry for new material in the world of J.K. Rowling, which is the wizarding world. Between 2002 to 2012, she made all these fantastic franchise movies for the Harry Potter industry. After the success of her novels came the equally successful run of her series of movies, with Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson and Rupert Grint, who also went on to have blossoming careers even after Potter, showing that they have life after Potter and that they weren't going to be just one-trick ponies or one-hit wonders. They were going to eventually blossom into stardom. And I think, you owe a lot to J.K. Rowling. And sure, we were told in advance that we were going to get 5 more movie adaptations from the post-Potter franchises, which is going to be the Fantastic Beasts series. I was excited about seeing this spin-off from the very successful Harry Potter films that came out between 2002 to 2012. And sure, not everyone liked Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I managed to find it as overall ever so enjoyable as a welcome addition to the wizarding world. It may sound like a cliche about what I'm about to say, but Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald failed to live up to the standards that the first installment measured up to. It's the same thing. A sequel just can never fully follow up from its predecessor, and here is a primary example of that analogy. I can't remember a time when a movie like this was so muddled. Watching what could have been, a simple viewing pleasure would end up so laboring. That's what's kind of disappointing about this movie. If there was a plot to this installment, I wonder where it was, because it's just that too many subplots are happening and too many events are happening all at once. It was so fucking overwhelming. But because this movie is so convoluted, it's all over the place. I spend most of the movie just practically scratching my head, wondering what the hell is going on. What is the main story? I tried my hardest, though. But it just meanders from one scenario after another, and trying to decipher it gave me a frickin' migraine. I even watched it again to see what I missed, only to end up regretting it later on, as I practically ran out of pills. It tries to stay in the tradition of the myth behind the Harry Potter lore, but it fails to stand on its own. If you're a Potter fan, you'll likely get a better understanding of the goings-on in this movie, but casual moviegoers will be substantially flabbergasted. I can at times just skim through the details, knowing the series pretty much by knowing what to expect and the adventures of what's to come. But in the Crimes of Grindlewald, you don't see very all that much because the sole purpose of this film was simply to cash in a reminder that there are other films in this franchise to follow. Maybe the follow-ups might probably fill you in on some of the holes in this movie. And I hope it does, because you probably won't like me to see another Fantastic Beasts series anytime soon if this is going to be the case. I'm sorry to say. It gets to the point that it would become quite tedious as scenes are just rushed with no full explaining, which results in everything being quite empty. And sure, there are some CGI magic featured here, but it still isn't enough to carry the film in terms of plot, story, or theme. It's all just style and no substance. What good is the film if it's going to be just like that? No point to it at all. The indecisiveness in where it wants to go can be nauseating, and the editing seems very absent in the long term. Scenes are presented in little tiny fragments, and then they are forgotten and only come back later again without any full explanation of what the hell is going on. There are way too many characters in this movie, and they have really no to little significance to them to really care about or even have something to grab our attention. In order to get the better feel of the plot, the need to introduce the characters one more time and to find a surface where the subplots intertwine. And okay, yes, there are some old favorites that come into this movie, and then we're also introduced to some new ones. And it's great to have, a mixed variety of the old meeting the new. I like that kind of interaction. That always seems to work very well. But in this case, unfortunately, none really do much service because too many things are happening and very little is coming out of it. If they could just stick to kind of like one main focal point, then everything would have been okay. There's really hardly any lead actors. There's hardly any supporting actors. Basically, it's just 2 hours of cameo. That's kind of like how I felt about it. However, though, I'm going to go a little soft here. And yes, though the bad outweighs the good stuff in Crimes of Grindlewald, we can at least claim that the characters coming back was actually quite a pleasure in addition to the newer ones offers some kind of hope for the future. If I guess there's any one actor that kind of stood out the most for me, I would have to get to go with Jude Law. Jude Law was probably the only real standout here, as he plays a much younger version of the Wizarding World character Albus Dumbledore. Yes, this is long before he became really old and disheveled and gray with a really long beard. Sure, the beard was there. Sure, the gray was there, but it was kind of more salt and pepper complexion rather than just full-blown white beard. But, I thought it was a great welcoming addition to have Jude Law as a young Dumbledore. That really actually brings a little bit of the nostalgia to the original Harry Potter to show that this is truly a, pre-Harry Potter prequel spin-off. And it's always good to add some characters from an old franchise and bring it into a new one in the case of Dumbledore. So I thought that was actually a real nice touch to it. And though not very well-rounding, will say that the wizardry effects were very impressive. It would be scintillating. It would be a scintillating run, however, if Rowling let us in on the wizardry in Paris. However, there are some scenes set there that are just put into doubt. And maybe, hey, you never know. I'm willing to give this another chance because I'm a nice guy. I'm always up for second chances at redemption. You spill coffee on me, I might be a little upset at first, but I won't hold a grudge till the day I die. I will eventually turn around and forgive once cooler heads prevail. You may have spilled coffee on me, but you didn't kill my spirit. That's how I look at it. So, I'm giving it a little more hope in the future. Maybe we might get some of our questions from this movie fulfilled in the next sequels to come. I guess we'll just have to be patient until then. In the end, it's actually truly highly questionable if this sequel will be of equal significance to what is yet to come. But right now, all I can say is this second installment is just an utter mess. There's just too many things happening and not enough story to be told. And maybe I even went a little bit too long in this movie because I just couldn't really get invested in anything that I had seen. The characters seem to just come and go. There's hardly any Grindlewald, and there's really hardly any beasts, to be honest with you. At least in Harry Potter, you had, like human characters, fictional characters, animatronic CGI stuff. You don't get too much of that in the Fantastic Beasts. I mean, where's the beasts? There's just not enough story being told, and too many things happening. And this could turn off a lot of people wanting to see this movie. If this was like a puzzle, it may have half the pieces. However, I hope that the next installments, the pieces are placed together. And we could just only hope for the better. But until then, if you guys want to see this movie, do so. But don't give your hopes high. There's just a lot of questions that have not been that have remained unanswered. Maybe in the near future segments to come, maybe we'll probably get more answers and maybe a little more disclosure. But until then, you won't find it here. So when all said and done, if I was to give this movie a scale out of 10, I would give Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald a 5. And maybe even that I might be being too generous. So I guess this ends my ride review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. But just remember the 3 simple rules. Be kind, be courteous, and please refrain from any rude comments. And I will be back with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Roadrider saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.